What? It's on the other side. Completely different. Hey, what's up guys? I'm James Alvarado. Welcome to Rad Company, Radco. I could get into what this channel is going to be about, what kind of content we're going to upload to it, what kind of schedule we're going to have on this, but I figure I'll save that for later. Right now, we're halfway through 2015, and I think what better way to get to know each other than to talk about our favorite records of the year so far. So I've got myself a little list here of some of my favorite EPs. No order, just going to shoot from the hip here. And I think we'll start it off here with Almond Dunes Cowboy Worship EP. Damon McMahon, formerly of Anouk, New York singer-songwriter, now here with Almond Dunes. They're coming off their full-length debut last year called Love. And this band just has a psychedelic approach to folk music that is just great. It's Van Morrison-esque. The highlight here is their cover of Tim Buckley's Song to the Siren. They really just knocked this one out of the park. They really made this song their own. It's awesome. Next up is You Blew It and their release Pioneer of Nothing. This band released one of my favorite records of last year in Keep Doing What You're Doing. That record just hit me in all the right places. Same stuff that was on that record is here. The guitar interplay, the clever lyrics, the witty lines, the cool, great vocals, some new different vocal approaches here, and the song Bedside Manner is just amazing. Next up, we're going to talk about two of my favorite sludge bands here in a collaborative effort. They gave us Released from Love last year, and this year The Body and Thou are back with You, Whom I Have Always Hated. Absolutely monolithic tones on this thing. If you ever get the chance to see these bands live, you owe it to yourself to experience it. It's great. It's great. Moving on, we're going to talk about a band called Diet Sig and their Over Easy EP. Self-proclaimed slop pop band from New Paltz, New York. Just some really cool, angsty, twee pop, indie rock, garage rock vibes on this thing too. If you're a fan of 90s twee pop acts like Beat Happening, Tiger Trap, Heavenly, The Softies, give this thing a try. You'll probably enjoy it. Next up, we're going to talk about one of my favorite producers, Guillermo Scott Heron, also known as Prefuse 73, with his releases Forsyth Gardens and Travels in Constance. He's back again this year and just has been releasing release after release after release, and it's some of his most compelling and best work of his career, in my opinion. Just really cool stuff. Check it out. Moving on to some emo and screamo, here is a band called Truman out of Richmond, Virginia, with their release Ikebana. Freely available EP on Bandcamp. Go check it out if you get a chance. Really cool screamo and emo if you're a fan of bands like Page 99, Joshua Fit for Battle, Funeral Diner. You'll want to give this a chance. Also, if you get into that and you find you enjoy it, there's another band called Facility that released another EP called First Four. Really cool. Check it out if you dig that type of stuff. Moving on to the more hip-hop, jazzy realm, talking about Thundercats. Steven Bruner. The guy is on fire right now with his bromance with Flying Lotus, his contribution to the Kendrick Lamar EP, his contribution to the new Kamasi Washington record, The Epic, and just really some really great songs on this thing. Great production, cool riffs, and just enough to hold us over for his next LP, in my opinion. Really big fan of his little mini album he put out there. Next up, we're going to talk about a band that's right here in my own backyard, Dripping Wet, with their release In Mokkori High. Really summery, shimmery dream pop out of Denton, Texas. This EP could be the sound of your summer. If you like bands like Real Estate or DuckTales, or if you enjoy any of the twee pop bands I might have mentioned earlier, talking about Diet Sig, this is worth giving a try. Also, I think if I heard correctly, a little collective out of DFW called Dallas Distortion Music is releasing that EP on cassette, and they're worth checking out. They work with a lot of great bands in the area, do a lot of cool things. Really cool to check out if you get a chance. Next up is probably one of my favorite Hellfire Collective MCs, Open Mike Eagle, here with an EP called A Special Episode of. Coming off his release Dark Comedy last year, really entertaining hip-hop album. Really cool beats on this thing, especially on the songs Dark Comedy Late Show and the Gold Panda produced Ziggy Starfish. Also has a cool guest spot from Milo. Next up is a Toronto, Canada hardcore band called Burning Love. So mad I didn't get to see these guys last time they came through. 3 songs, hard-hitting, quick, to the point, cool release. Moving on, we're going to go into some good party vibes here with Rafael, Fernandez, and Future Nights. Just a really good timey disco record. Just old school garage, disco, house music, cool DJ mix. Just every time I hear the track Bones off this thing, it just makes me smile. Just a really good time. Moving on, we're going to talk about a West Virginia band called Rozwell Kid with their Good Graphics EP. Just big hooks, big guitar riffs, big guitar harmonies, processed vocals that sort of remind you of the 90s post-grunge era of music. And just like the EP I talked about before, just a really good time. From there, we're going to move on to Run the Jewels and their Record Store Day release EP, Bust No Moves. The band coming off their huge success that was Run the Jewels 2. They don't miss a beat with this thing. Really entertaining. The new track, Bust No Moves, Killer Mike and LP are on top of it. Really cool EP. Moving on from that, we're going to talk about Rivers with their self-titled EP, band from Pennsylvania. Not a band I usually get into, just a straight up folk, indie pop act. Not much else to it. I say I don't usually get into it, but the songs are there, the writing's there, and I found myself kept coming back to it over and over again. And just really cool stuff. Also want to mention their guitarist, the banjo player, Vincent Yarnell, amazing head of hair. Really great. That's what counts, right? And next up is a band out of the UK called Simmer and their EP Yellow Streak. Really noisy, loud, post-hardcore / emo record. If you like the direction that Title Fight took on their latest on their latest LP, Hyperview, you'll probably want to check this thing out. Next up is a beat maker out of Pittsburgh, pvkvsv, with his release Peels, just a group of instrumental hip-hop beats, really tight, clean, quick beats. I'm really curious to see what this guy puts out next. I really like this thing. I enjoyed it. Moving on from that, we're going to talk about Freddie Gibbs and his EP release Pronto. Guy's still on top of his game, coming off of one of the best hip-hop releases of last year in Pinata with Madlib producing that. And I mean, you kind of miss Madlib's beats on this thing, but Freddie Gibbs is still on point, talking about, the gang lifestyle. And I'd be lying if I told you I didn't enjoy the production on that song, White Range. Really cool song. Moving on from that, we're going to talk about Swain, formerly known as This Routine Is Hell. Check out their album Howl if you get a chance. And their EP release, Heavy Dancing. Really cool, raw, hardcore, post-hardcore on this thing. I can't help but every time I listen to this band, comparing them to this other band from America called Take Over and Destroy, or Toad. Sonically, the two bands just sound really similar to me, and Toad takes more influence from maybe black metal acts and maybe classic metal acts like Black Sabbath and stuff like that, whereas Swain takes their influence from punk and post-hardcore acts of old, But sonically similar, and that's a really good thing to me. Both those bands are killer. Last here we're going to talk about is Your Old Droog with his release, Kinnison. One of the lines on this thing is, "This ain't rap, it's hard rock with a hip-hop approach," and I feel like that sums this thing up perfectly. Tons of references to 90s rock acts, deafening while talking about U2 and Coldplay, and between the smooth boom-bap beats, the witty lines, and the references to 90s and early noughts nostalgia, this thing's just really entertaining, really cool listen. So that's it. That's my list. Let me know what you thought. Did I leave anything out? Did I miss anything? What were your favorite EPs so far this year? Follow us on Twitter at radco. Go to radcompany.com. Stick around. Tomorrow we're probably going to talk about our favorite LPs, and hope you enjoy it. Thanks. Want to hear from you. Bye.